hello, ladies. Hello,
Hello.
Pam and Colleen. How are you doing today?
We're doing great. Thank you for asking.
Well, today you agreed to let me interview you, and I'm so appreciative of that. And I'm interviewing you basically about what's happening with seniors in America financially. And, you know, the title is, or one of the titles for this video is how the government gives something with one hand and then turns around and takes it away with the other hand. And I wanted to talk to you shortly about that, Pam. I wanted to first start off with talking with you about your situation and some of how the idea of the government giving with one hand and taking away with another hand applies to you and applies to a lot of seniors. So what is your housing situation right now?
I live in affordable housing here in Northern California, and my situation went like this. We were notified that we were getting a rent increase. I received $200 in the increase.
For Social Security?
For Social Security income increase, exactly. And then $90 was taken right off the top. So the $200 is now down to $110.
Okay.
The next thing that went up was my car insurance. I used to pay $129 a month car insurance. Now I'm up to $153. Okay.
So that's another $24.
Yes, absolutely. And of course we all know about PG&E.
Yeah.
It's an endless top. Okay.
For those who are not familiar with what PG&E is, it's Pacific Gas and Electric. It's the utility in this area.
My utility bills,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And with all the fires, they have just really had an excuse for raising utility rates.
Absolutely. So now we're down to like what? 90 plus the $30 increase. So basically it just kept trickling on. Everything was more expensive every time I want to pay a bill. So basically, I don't see the $200 increase. I'm still living on my credit cards to pay for my food. My budget has not changed one bit. I will tell you this, here in Northern California, I worked at the food bank over here in our county. And I worked there to subsidize and try to have a little bit more in my cabinets. And I worked through there through COVID. And what happened there was I saw the government or whoever is in control of this, they released the emergency food right after the COVID time because of the population that was coming into our country. And that's all I want to say about that.
What do you mean they released it?
They released the emergency bank food to distribute out because we have an overflow of population.
So they took the food out of the
reserve.
Okay, so you had some reserves, and they took all of your reserves. Okay.
Because they could not meet the demand of the new population that came into.
So basically, and we won't get into this because it's all political, but basically what happened was they took reserves and they gave them to people who were non-citizens instead of citizens. So how did that impact the food bank?
Tremendously. We were overwhelmed. We didn't have enough food to give to them, so they brought in the reserves, and then before you know it, the reserves were gone, and the line still remained the same.
So did you eventually run out of food for people who had been regularly receiving food?
Absolutely.
Oh my.
Yes.
So there are a lot of things that people don't know that happen behind the scenes, and a lot of seniors who at one point were able to get resources now can't get those resources.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this, because I've heard this from a lot of people, myself included. Did your Medicare deductions, did those increase also?
Absolutely. And the Kaiser plan that I was on, I was eligible at that time to receive a reduction copay, financial assistance program, FAP, okay? After the increases of Social Security came in, they had us reapply, and they raised their bar of eligibility. So now I still have my FAP program, financial assistance program, but it doesn't pay. Okay, my ratio that I used to have the benefit of that, it doesn't show up no more. I'm still paying a high price for my copays at Kaiser.
Wow. So basically,
They raised the bar.
they gave you a raise, and then everything that's a necessity went up, including government services, including all of the other things. So basically, it's not only maybe you're back even, you may have even gone down.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You may have even lost ground.
And I hadn't really realized that until I was taking a real deep look at my food budget, and I was back to my credit cards.
Wow. So now you're using your credit cards to buy food?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And what about you, Colleen? How old are you?
I'm 74.
74. And what have you experienced over the last few years with what's happening financially in this country, especially post-COVID?
Well, one of the things was I had knee replacements on both knees in the last 2 years. I make a small amount, Social Security.
Is Social Security your only social source of income?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And it's just not that high. But I was surviving fine.
Right.
And we, until after COVID, you know, and things are rearranging. Every time, like she said, every time you get a raise in your Social Security, everything else goes up accordingly. And I was getting over $200 for food on the food program during COVID, and they cut it and it went down to $79.
Wait a minute.
So-
You were getting $200 towards food, and then it was cut to 79?
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes, and you know, not only is it the food, I mean, that you have to buy medical supplies also. And there's a lot of things I need when I was in bed laying, you know, recovering from my knee surgeries and stuff. You need a lot of stuff.
And they didn't cover it?
Oh, no.
Oh
No,
my.
they don't cover anything except medication. You know, a prescription medication.
Okay.
Everything else, anything else you may need for hygiene, they don't cover. And they also don't cover. I belong to a gym in a town that is 12 to 15 miles away where my gym is. I have a gym membership that I can't afford to go to. I was supposed to go 4 to 5 times a week, and it's $10 a trip. So that would be $40 to $50 a week
In gasoline.
in gasoline just to go to the gym.
And I happen to notice, I'm not going to say what town we're in, but I noticed that the gas here is about 70 cents more per gallon.
And it is 10 miles from us.
Yeah.
That you could get at Sam's Club or Costco.
I mean, it was, I was shocked because I had run low on gas, and I thought, well, I'll just get it when I
Oh, yeah.
get to, you know,
Don't
this
wanna do
town.
that.
I was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
You
And
know?
that's what
So you're like captive here,
Yes.
and you're captive and paying higher prices in many
well,
instances.
and not only that, but what happens when you become a senior and everybody else goes off to work all day long and you're left at home, and then you can't afford to go anywhere because you can't afford the gas to go somewhere. So then you're isolated. You're isolated from, you know, luckily I only live a couple miles from the senior center, and I can come here and visit with people.
Amen.
And that's where we
that's
we
where we
met.
are right
yeah,
now.
yeah, we're at the
And,
senior citizen center.
Luckily, but you know, they have their hours. They open from 9 to 2:30, I think, and we can do our little things and, you know, communicate with each other and learn who needs help too.
Another thing I wanted to ask both of you ladies about is the utility bills and how that has impacting you, because you were telling me, Colleen, that earlier in the week it was like what, 112 degrees here, 107?
Well, here in the town we're in, it was 106, 107 in different places. Yes.
And so how is that impacting seniors in terms of utility bills? Because it's unsafe to be in really, really hot rooms
Yeah.
without having some kind of relief. So if you run air conditioning, you're going to
You
get...
can't afford to, you know,
Can't
and
afford to.
you can't afford to.
Everybody I know runs fans.
I have fans. I have 3 fans that I use, and when it gets too hot, I go to Walmart, I go to Safeway, or I come here.
Or you come here. The senior
Because it's air
center is
conditioned
a resource for us all to come to.
Because you can't, if it gets too hot.
2:30. They close at 2:30, and that's the hottest time of day is
Yes.
from 2:30 to 6:30.
I'm sorry, but fans aren't going to cut it in certain heat.
No,
Well,
you're
if
absolutely
you have
right.
health problems, you're just out of luck. If you don't have someplace that you can go, somebody that you know to go to their house and entertain you, pretty much, or sit with them while
Right.
in the air-conditioned room.
So you go to one of the stores, Walmart or Safeway or something, to try and get some relief from the heat.
Yeah, if it gets overwhelming.
Because if you run an air conditioner, I mean, if you're already on a margin, a tight margin, and you're running your air conditioning, that can be another $300, $400, $500 a month.
Absolutely.
Who has that?
Well, I have the room that I'm in has a heater and an air conditioner, and if you run that air conditioner when you need it, the bill is between $500 and $700 just
Oh
for
my
that
gosh.
one, for my one room, just air conditioning one room.
Now, let me ask you this. You say you're in a room. So are you renting a room in a home?
No, I own my home,
Okay.
but my daughter and my son-in-law and my grandson live there with me because I can't afford to pay the house payment.
Okay.
So they pay the house payment, and then the utility bills, we split up.
Right.
So so I can't add $700
No.
onto their utility bill. Their
No.
utility bill is already between $500 and $700.
$500 and $700.
Yeah.
That just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, Pam, you live in affordable housing. If you weren't in that kind of situation, what would you do?
I would be in a room at one of my family's house.
Okay.
And that's where I was until I became eligible, before I got my own place. Okay?
So you were renting a room,
I
and
was renting a room for my family.
and that was the most that you could afford.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Do you ladies have anxiety or fear about the future financially based on what you're seeing with prices and gas and what do you have a plan B? I mean, I don't know what it could be, but
Yeah, I have a lot of anxiety because it's hard, even during the winter, when the winters are colder than they're supposed to be and the summers are hotter than they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That means you're using the heater during the winter and you're using the air conditioning during the summer, when normally, a few years back you wouldn't have had to use it nearly as much. And it was just easier to make do because you could afford gas
right.
to do things. And since I've had my knee surgery, I can't even get a job or anything until
To supplement your income.
to supplement
Yeah.
because I can't while I'm waiting for my surgery for my ankle, and I don't make enough in Social Security to even afford senior housing. I can't even do that.
Wow. So your solutions living on limited income is for you, Pam. You were fortunate and, like you said, blessed to get into senior housing. So what is it, maybe a third? You pay a third of your income? Is that how
Yes.
it works? Okay.
They work it on 30, 40, and 50%.
Okay.
I was at a 40%. I got my income, the increase of Social Security check bumped me to a 50%.
So now you have to pay 50% of your
Yes.
income. Wow. And you, Colleen, your solution is to have family live with you and they cover the mortgage and you pay for some of the other, they split the other things.
And I buy everything that I need.
Okay.
My food, any
Right.
any medical supplies, anything like that, I have to furnish.
And to deal with the climate, whether it's extremely hot or whether it's extremely cold, you go to places like Walmart and other box stores or Safeway or the Senior Citizen Center. But again, it closes at 2:30. So in the summer, that's not,
It makes it hard and it's inconvenient, and you don't want to put your family out, even just having to supplement food and stuff.
Right.
They're all working, and they've got families to deal with also. So they're dealing with the same thing: the high price of utilities, the high price of gasoline, of insurance, car insurance. So we're all kind of in the same boat. I just don't have an out.
Yeah.
I don't have a way to fix it.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
can't get a job.
and Pam, did I ask how old are you?
I'm 66.
66. So both of you are seniors and both of you are on Social Security, and this is how you're coping. And I imagine if things continue to go up at the rate they are, you're going to be in a pickle,
Oh,
you know?
a tighter pickle than we are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What I'm doing is not getting the physical therapy I should be getting, taking care of the knees I had replaced, and getting stronger for the surgery I'm going to have, because I can't afford to go. Plus, that would be a great place to go to cool off, is in a swimming
Yeah.
pool. Can't do that. But it's not just it's not just that. You know, the older I get, it seems the more things I need to help me get by.
Right.
You know, and
So
those
it's-
things aren't covered. They're not covered by Medi-Cal or Medicaid or anything. So
It seems, you know, in talking to more and more seniors basically are left to fend for yourself. And it's, you know, my mom used to have a saying, God bless the child that has his own, because if you don't, you're in a rough spot.
yeah.
And that is what a lot of seniors are finding now.
This is so true, and I want to add on that. Where in affordable housing that I live, we have a food distribution every 2 weeks. The seniors, a lot of them cannot leave their homes for whatever. Maybe they're not mobile enough,
Right.
or they can't come out in the heat.
Right.
That line is more full of their their caregivers. The caregivers are standing in line to pick up food for their seniors that they're taking care of.
Right.
And you know what you do instead? I mean, I was eating all organic and healthy fruits and vegetables and organic meats. I can't afford organic meat or
No.
organic vegetables.
No.
I'm lucky to just get by, you know, on, you know, beans and lentils and rice, which I usually don't eat, but
Well,
rice
high
I-
carb, especially if you
That's what I'm saying.
if you're at high sugar levels and diabetes.
Luckily, I'm not diabetic, because
Yeah.
those are the things you have to resort to.
Right.
You know, because it's you don't have a choice. If you can't afford fresh vegetables and fresh fruit and stuff, you have to have something that fills in the space.
Right.
You know, which isn't healthy.
Well, you know, I am going to check back with you maybe in 3 to 6 months and see, because I think none of us know what's going to happen with this election.
Sure.
And I think it could have a big impact on this country one way or the other. But
Oh,
the
it
people,
will have either way.
either way, but the people at the center of the storm are seniors.
Yep.
And seniors are those who are going to be most impacted.
Yes.
And I'm going to check back with you after the election to see, depending on what happens, if it's made any difference, if it's worse, if it's better, you know. But again, it's quite something how the government with one hand gives you that raise, and it seems like, oh, we're giving you this increase, it's so much more than it's been in previous years, and then with the other hand they pull
take
it
it.
back
Yeah.
from other areas.
Right. And as my Social Security check goes up, it's, I don't know, a very small amount that they raise it every year for cost of living, which doesn't cover anywhere close to the cost of
Right.
living has gone up.
Right.
But that disqualifies me for Medi-Cal.
But I was just going to
So
say that.
Then what do I do? I can't have surgery on my ankle if I don't qualify for Medi-Cal. So I'm
There needs to be some kind of plan, or someone needs to take a look at this, because if you then get an increase, you then lose more in benefits.
Right. It's supposed to be a cost of living. So the cost of living that you have to pay for, food, gas, utilities, that's supposed to cover that. But instead they take away from you what you're already getting.
Right.
So it covers nothing, because you're back at level or below what you were getting.
Right,
So
right.
you're worse off.
That's kind of how, in many ways, it happens with welfare. You'll have single moms
Yep.
who are on welfare, so they decide to go out and get a job.
Yes.
Well, when they get that job, then they lose their food stamps, they lose their child care, they lose their Section 8. So they're 50 times worse. So it's actually a disincentive
Yes.
to
Yes.
work.
To work or to go to
Absolutely.
school.
Yeah,
or,
or
to get
anything.
training for anything.
So hopefully, whoever comes in November will see some programs where maybe they'll look at graduated. You know, like if you get a little more income, they'll give you a grace period or something for a period of time, you know, to adjust or something. I don't know. I
mean, if
don't.
you were getting $500 more a month or $1,000 more a month, I could see how they would want to.
Right.
You know, but when you're getting $50 more a month, that's not going to cover anything. That's going to cover gas.
I had a friend who I said, well, why don't you get a part-time job? She said, if I make $9 more a month, I will lose my Medicaid.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
$9.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could go be a greeter at Walmart right now, but they would raise my rent and my affordable housing. Maybe I wasn't even eligible after that point.
So it's like, instead of helping you help yourself,
Yeah.
they slam you if you help yourself.
Absolutely.
I did child care in my home. I was a licensed child care provider for like 45 years. I've done it since the early 80s. And you won't believe how many parents I had to not charge, you know, because they were cut off. They got a job or they changed a job or got a raise, and they couldn't afford then
Yeah, the benefits that we
the benefits of them getting child
shall I
care
say eligibility.
and on a food program. They disqualified them. Many times over those years, I would just watch their kids for them for nothing.
Well, I hope, because I know, Pam, I know some of the things you've done, and you've taken on seniors here, and you give them rides places, and you do things for them, and I know so many things that you have sown into other people's lives. And Colleen, you know, these mothers that you've helped, I'm just praying that one day that some of that you have sown, you will be able to reap back.
Thank you. And Carol, I can appreciate what you're saying. Thank you for your respect and recognition of that. And what I want to say about that is the goodwill will never stop. The goodwill will never stop right here.
Right.
As long as I'm capable, I get the benefit of that. And forget not my benefits.
Right.
It comes from the word. So I have my own reward at the end of the day.
Yes, so ladies, thank you very much for
You're welcome.
just highlighting some of the plights that seniors are facing, and maybe we'll see some changes hopefully in the near futures for the better.
And thank you, Carol, for
All
what
right.
you do.
There is a senior out there trying to cheat the government out of their money.
No.
All they're trying to do is survive.
Survive,
On a
yes.
minimal level, just survive.
Right. All right, ladies, till next time, may your journeys be filled with joy and blessing.